Masipnayang araw, grade 9 students. I am Teacher Jordan, and today I will be teaching you how to solve problems involving parallelograms, trapezoids, and kites. In this lesson, you are expected to solve problems involving parallelograms, trapezoids, and kites, and solve problems systematically.
Let's have first the pretest. Read each of the following questions carefully and identify what is being asked. Write only the letter of the correct answer on your paper. Question number 1. Quadrilateral SAFE is a parallelogram. If the measure of angle S is equal to the quantity of x plus 15 degrees and the measure of angle F is 75 degrees, what is x? Question number 2. A glass was cut to fit in a window case which is trapezoid in shape. The bases of the trapezoid measure 5 feet and 3 feet respectively. What is the length of the median? Problem number 3. The area of a kite is 30 square inches. If the longer diagonal is 4 inches more than the shorter diagonal, what are the lengths of the two diagonals? Question number 4. The diagonals of a square handkerchief measure the quantity of y plus 10 centimeters and the quantity of 2y minus 5 centimeters respectively. What is y? Question number 5. The perimeter of a rectangular garden is 10 square meters and its length is 3 meters longer than its width. What is the length of the rectangular garden? And these are the correct answers for the pretest. Now let's have a recap. Draw a heart in the corresponding box or boxes below the quadrilateral or quadrilaterals if the theorem or property is always true to them. These are the correct answers. The quadrilaterals with opposite angles that are supplementary are rectangle, square, and isosceles trapezoid. For number 2, rhombus and square are quadrilaterals in which all of their sides are congruent. Next, the diagonals are congruent for rectangle, square, and isosceles trapezoid. Next, the quadrilaterals with consecutive angles that are supplementary are parallelogram, rhombus, rectangle, square, and isosceles trapezoid. The median is half the sum of the lengths of the two bases for trapezoid and isosceles trapezoid. Two opposite sides are parallel and congruent for all parallelograms, and these include parallelogram, rhombus, rectangle, and square. The three quadrilaterals in which their two diagonals are perpendicular to each other are rhombus, square, and kite. And lastly, the area is half the product of the lengths of the two diagonals for rhombus and kite. These are some of the important properties and theorems regarding the different types of quadrilaterals. Take note and keep this in mind, for they are very helpful in solving problems involving quadrilaterals.
The representations of quadrilaterals are everywhere. We use a lot of them in our day-to-day life. Along with these quadrilaterals are mathematical concepts, and we use these concepts in solving problems. How can you solve problems involving quadrilaterals in an easy and systematic way?
One mathematics word problem can be solved in many ways. A step-by-step approach in solving word problems can be done to arrive at the correct answer. One of the systematic and easiest ways of solving word problems, particularly in solving word problems involving quadrilaterals, is by using the DCubes process. DCubes is an acronym for draw, circle, underline, box, evaluate, and solve. For D, draw a picture or an illustration that represents the situation. Make the illustration simple. For C, circle the important numbers or quantities specified. You will use these details in labeling the illustration. For U, underline what is asked or the question you need to answer. For B, box the mathematics keywords. These keywords may help you in determining rules, solutions, or operations to be used. E is for evaluate and determine the appropriate rule, solution, or formula. And S for solve. Let's have some examples. Quadrilateral FACE is a parallelogram. If FA is equal to 5x plus 5, EC is equal to 9x minus 11, and FE is equal to 15 centimeters, what is the perimeter of the parallelogram? Let us solve this problem using the DCubes process. First step is draw. Draw a simple illustration of the situation, and the simple illustration looks like this. Next is circle. Circle the given number or quantities based from the problem. And in the problem, the given are 5x plus 5, 9x minus 11, and 15 centimeters. Third, underline what is asked in the problem. The required in the problem is, what is the perimeter of the parallelogram? Then box the math keywords. The math keywords from the problem are parallelogram and perimeter. These first 4 steps are very important for the next step, evaluate. Evaluate means to think about the encircled numbers, the box math keywords, including what is asked, and figure out a rule, formula, or solutions you should do to solve the problem. In this step, we can now label the illustration using the encircled quantities. And based from the boxed keywords, we know that in a parallelogram, opposite sides are congruent, and the perimeter of any polygon is the sum of the lengths of its sides. We have perimeter is equal to FA plus AC plus CE plus EF. Last step is solve. Opposite sides FA and EC are congruent, which means their lengths are equal in measure. In solving for x, we have 5x plus 5 equals 9x minus 11. Applying addition property of equality and multiplication property of equality, we obtain x is equal to 4. If x is equal to 4, then we can now find the exact length of sides FA and EC in centimeters, 25 centimeters. To answer what is required in the problem, we will use the formula in finding the perimeter of a parallelogram. Perimeter is equal to FA plus AC plus CE plus EF, in which FA is equal to 25, EC is equal to 25, and since FE is equal to 15, then AC is also equal to 15. The final answer is 80 centimeters. Therefore, the perimeter of parallelogram FACE is 80 centimeters. Example number 2. Quadrilateral MASK is an isosceles trapezoid with side MA parallel to side SK. If the measure of angle K is equal to 4x plus 50 and the measure of angle S is 150 minus x, what is the measure of angle A? This is an illustration for the problem. The given numbers or quantities are 4x minus 50 and 150 minus x. Next is to underline what is the measure of angle A. The math keywords are isosceles trapezoid and side MA parallel to side SK. Using the marked or labeled details, we can now evaluate the problem. We can now label the illustration. We can also recall that in an isosceles trapezoid, base angles are congruent and opposite angles are supplementary. Thus, the measure of angle K is equal to the measure of angle S, and the measure of angle K plus the measure of angle A is equal to 180 degrees. We will use these two concepts to solve the problem. So let's solve. In solving for x, we have measure of angle K is equal to measure of angle S, or 4x plus 50 is equal to 150 minus x. Simplifying the equation, we obtain x is equal to 20. If x is equal to 20, then the measure of angle K is equal to 130 degrees. To solve for the measure of angle A, we will use measure of angle K plus measurement of angle A is equal to 180 degrees since opposite angles of an isosceles trapezoid are supplementary. Since measurement of angle K is 130 degrees, then the measure of angle A is 50 degrees. Example number 3. A rectangular parcel of land has a perimeter of 56 meters. Its length is 5 meters less than twice the width. What are the dimensions of the rectangular parcel of land? The first 4 steps are as follows. Using the first 4 steps, let's evaluate the problem. Since the length is 5 meters less than twice the width, then we can let the width be equal to x and the length be equal to 2x minus 5. Given in the problem is the perimeter of 56 meters, and the formula in finding the perimeter of a rectangle is twice length plus twice width. Let's solve. To find the dimensions, We need to solve first for x using the formula for the perimeter of the rectangle. Substituting the given details and applying appropriate properties of equality, we obtain x equals 11. Using x equals 11, we are able to find the dimensions of the rectangle, which are 11 meters and 17 meters. Therefore, the length of the rectangular parcel of land is 17 meters and its width is 11 meters. Problem number 4. One lateral face of a monument is trapezoid in shape. One base is 4 decimeters more than the other. If the median of the trapezoid measures 10 decimeters, find the length of the longer base. The first 4 steps are as follows. Now let's evaluate. Based from the problem, one base is 4 decimeters more than the other. So we let base 1 be equal to x and base 2 be x plus 4. Given also in the problem is the median, which is equal to 10 decimeters. Use these details to label the illustration. We can solve the problem using the mid-segment theorem for trapezoid, which is the median is equal to half the sum of base 1 and base 2. Now let's solve the problem. Using the formula, median is equal to 1/2 of base 1 plus base 2, and substituting the given details, we can get x is equal to 8. Using the value of x, we can solve for the length of the bases. Upon comparing the lengths of base 1 and base 2, we can conclude that the length of the longer base is 12 decimeters. Problem number 5. The area of the kite made by Aaron is 110 square inches. One diagonal of the kite is 2 inches more than twice the other diagonal. What are the lengths of the diagonals? The first 4 steps are as follows. Let us now evaluate using the labeled details. One diagonal of the kite is 2 inches more than twice the other. Thus, we let diagonal 1 be equal to x and diagonal 2 be equal to 2x plus 2. Use these details to label the illustration. The area of the kite is given, which is equal to 110 square inches, and the formula in finding this area is 1/2 multiplied to the product of the lengths of the 2 diagonals. Using this formula, we can get the lengths of the 2 diagonals. Let's solve. Area is equal to half the product of the lengths of diagonal 1 and diagonal 2. Thus, 110 is equal to 1/2 x multiplied to 2x plus 2. Simplifying this equation, we are able to get an equation which is quadratic in nature. X squared plus x minus 110 is equal to 0. Solving for x by factoring method, we have 2 answers. X is equal to negative 11 and x is equal to 10. We need to omit the negative answer since we are dealing with measurements. Using x is equal to 10 in solving for the lengths of the 2 diagonals, we obtain 10 inches and 22 inches. Thus, the 2 diagonals of the kite measure 10 inches and 22 inches respectively.
Let's wrap up today's lesson. Remember that in solving word problems involving quadrilateral or in solving any math problems in general, the DCubes process can be used as your guide.
D stands for draw a picture or an illustration that represents the situation. C means circle the important numbers or quantities specified and use these in labeling the illustration. U means underline what is asked or the question you need to answer. B box the mathematics keywords that may help you in determining rules or operations to be used. E means evaluate and determine the appropriate rule, solution, or formula. You can also eliminate unnecessary information if needed. And S means solve. Let's have the valuing part of this lesson. Life is a mathematics word problem. This does not mean that you will be given mathematics activities and paperwork to solve on throughout your life. It means active application and integration of your skills and knowledge in solving real-life problems systematically and effectively. Mathematics teaches us the idea that every problem has solutions. For example, one of your family members has symptoms indicating the possibility of having infected by COVID-19. In your journal, list step-by-step procedures that will help you solve this problem. This will also serve as your guide in protecting yourself and your family. Before we end today's lesson, let's have a pause test. Read the problems carefully and identify what is being asked. Write only the letter of the correct answer on your paper. These are the correct answers for the post-test. For you to become master problem solvers, let's do the activities. These are the correct answers for the activities. Thank you very much for watching.